Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, highly anticipated conversation with a professional. I'm an amateur podcast here at Balloon Boom Productions in downtown Holly Hills, and we have Kevin Slaten on the line. Hey, Kevin, hello.
How you doing, Wells? Good to hear from you.
Yeah, baby. Now, we had some facial time last week. Mutual friends of ours. We had a nice little deal down at Derek Clayton. Did you enjoy yourself? Because I had a ball.
Yeah, I had a blast. It's always good to catch up with guys like that. I mean, how do you go wrong with Mike Smallwood, the judge, John Newsham, Bill McDermott, Bruce Woodruff, and all the guys?
And then I brought my buddy from the old Ascension and St. Dominic, not St. Dominic, St. Dismas, Tim Pendergast, and then Mike Gallo. It was man.
Yeah.
So, and then
I'm telling you, St. Dismas and the entire North County was represented well, and then with Mike Smallwood, St. Philip Neri. I mean, but North County was the dominant area.
oh yeah, baby. And I just on a full disclosure, did you get your dominance in the grade school beauty pageant, or did you get it up there at the band room overlooking the CBC field on Clayton Road?
I used to do the play-by-play of the games at CBC from the band room. It was wild, and the neighbors complained one time, and Terry was the coach, and prior to Terry, I did it when Horgan was the coach because I was there for the transition when Horgan left, and then Terry took over.
Nice.
And Bob Horgan told the principal at the time, "You can tell the neighbors to shove it."
And I mean that's quite a ways to go because you're up high, and then you have the what's the stands, and then the track, and then the field, and another track over
You're
there.
pretty high, yeah. You could see everything though, and I was always gifted with a photographic memory, so I could remember the numbers and associate them with the names.
Nice.
That came in handy throughout my career doing play-by-play. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, was it the volume was up, or your enthusiasm?
Oh yeah, they had the volume and I was passionate, so my enthusiasm carried the day. And I guess people didn't like that on a Saturday night. They were
Yeah.
trying to watch. They were trying to watch All in the Family and Mary Tyler Moore.
All right then. All right. And so, I mean, then did you go to ESPN after that, or did you go to the Steamers?
Well, I went to Mizzou first, and then
Oh,
I
okay.
graduated from journalism school there, and from there I went to Channel 4. Well, actually, I went to Portland, Oregon first, and I didn't stay there very long. I didn't like it, and I came back, and I was fortunate enough to get hired at Channel 4. So I was there, and then at Channel 2, and then while I was there, I started doing ESPN stuff. I did Sports Center on their weekends, and I did their Monday coverage of the USFL at the time. I did their Saturday night and Monday pregame, halftime, and postgame, and then I did Sports Center over the weekends as well.
Man, my memory, I forgot all about 4. You were the local darling on Channel 4, man.
Well, it was nice because at that time there were only 3 network television stations plus Channel 11, and Channel 30 was sort of in its infancy, and they called it a UHF channel back then, and there was no cable, so it was us. That we were pretty well known in the market. Anywhere you go, it was sort of the celebrity treatment. It was kind of fun, and being 22 years old, I wasn't quite used to it, so it took a little bit of adjusting.
Yeah. Well, okay then. But I mean, to tell you, it seems like at the time, E.F. Hutton was listening when you said that you graduated from Missouri Journalism School.
Well, when E.F. Hutton talks, everybody listens.
Yeah. So the whole story goes Did you have a little bit of a time, a relationship with the old soccer ball?
I played in grade school. I was more of a basketball and baseball player than a football player,
All right.
but I played goalie when I was in at Our Lady of Good Counsel. But
Wow.
I'll never forget being left with a 3-on-1 break coming back at me, and these guys, boom, they score. The next time down, here comes 2-on-1, boom, they score, and I said, you know what, this isn't much fun. I was miscast. I should have been a sweeper, and had I been a
Eh,
sweeper because I was 6'2" at the time
Yeah.
in school, I would have been able to dominate like Dave Humdelt does. Hans
Oh,
was a tall
wow.
sweeper, man. You couldn't get it past him.
Never, never. And that whole that field at Our Lady of Good Counsel, that was really something on that one end. You looked up in the parking lot and everything.
They had a great facility there. It was one of the. They had more property than most grade schools had back in those days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, they sold it like the rest of the Catholic
Oh,
schools did. I mean, they sold. A lot of us don't have a grade school to go to anymore.
no, no, not at all. Not at all. The old schoolyard, my old school, and man, yeah. And then Clayton Road, you spent 4 years there.
Yeah, that's where CBC was when I went. It was not the new place. We were at Clayton Road, 6501 Clayton Road, right across the street from St. Mary's Hospital. I had three older brothers that went there. I fell in love with Friday night football games, and I couldn't get enough of the place.
Wow.
So got to wear a uniform, which I thought was cool in the day,
Yeah.
and we had fun. So
Did
uh, I
did you
played
ever,
football until I hurt my hip, and then played basketball and
wow.
baseball.
Wow. DC Wilcutt. Boy.
He was my coach.
Wow, yeah. How about a Sam Brown belt? Did you ever go up?
A what?
A Sam Brown belt? Were you ever a cadet officer?
Oh yeah, I was a second lieutenant or no, first lieutenant when I graduated.
Nice, nice.
But I jacked around too much to get any higher. But DC, I tell you, playing for DC, I wasn't paying attention in practice when he was talking to us one day, and I was looking around, and the next thing I know, when I turned the other way toward him, I got the ball right in the nose.
Hmm.
And he said, "I'll bet you'll start paying attention now." And I'm like, "Holy cow, that didn't feel good." I was seeing stars for a while.
Yeah, never too poor to pay attention, boy. I tell
But
you.
but then I went out and made every shot, so then he was happy.
Yeah, you go. See how you are. So, and that was quite a gymnasium over there with
Well, it
the,
was.
the
It had loose boards on the floor. We knew
yeah,
where they were, so we could beat just about anybody in our gym.
yeah.
We just force them in where the ball's not going to come back up. I mean, we almost beat Rick Suttle there, Assumption. We lost in the last minutes, but he outscored us as a whole team when we played him over at Assumption.
Oh,
And then he ended up at Kansas, and then I think he played in the NBA for a while. He was
nice.
pretty good.
And other full disclosure, Kevin, did you ever go across the street to the hair made by Thomas?
No,
Oh,
I didn't get my haircut there. My dad took care of our haircuts when we were at CC. There was nothing stylish about it. You just had a flat top or a buzz cut. And, that's how we had military inspections Mondays and Thursdays. So if your sideburns were even too long, you were going to get dry shave.
oh,
The hair better not the hair better not be touching your ear or the collar of your shirt.
oh, yeah, man, yeah. And there was no. You could care less if you were a football player or.
No, they did not care. These were military guys, retired military, and
Yeah,
you had shoes to shine and brass to shine. And if you didn't do it, you were getting demerits, and that means you're after school. And if you had to miss practice, then you were in trouble for that too.
yeah. So all that, your high school experience and the military, the personal discipline, has that really molded you for where
I
you?
don't. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that discipline when you're young is a lesson that stays with you forever, because it forms your habits, and your habits form your character, and your character forms your personality. And I think when you develop those good habits when you're young, even though it's hard and you don't like it, but discipline is the key to any success. Any athletic team, if they don't have discipline, they're not going to be successful. And anybody in life, if you don't have some discipline, you're not going to make it. You're just not. And you learn those lessons, and they stay with you. That doesn't mean that, like everybody else, I didn't veer off the straight and narrow sometimes. But you always came back to what you learned when you were. Those were formative years, and those were important. And Catholic grade school was the same way. The nuns put up with absolutely nothing. So I remember smacked in the head because I was standing at the wrong chair for breakfast after mass one morning, and there was an empty chair between me and the other guy. And the nun comes up behind me and smacks me in the head and said, "Move over to the next chair." Grief. I didn't think that was a capital offense, but apparently it was. I just wanted my powdered sugar donuts and go to class. That's all I wanted.
Oh,
I had to get whacked upside the head.
yeah. Boy, that was a nice little walking down the street. That those nice little shopping center restaurants by the old North Drive-In.
North Drive-In, right across the street was Ozella's, and I think one of the very first McDonald's in our area was there. But Ozella's was a great place for all of us to get pizza. That was my first experience with pizza.
Yeah, man, Ozella's. So you take it, and under full disclosure, I don't watch a lot, but I don't get giggly like I was listening to you and Bill McDermott and couple the other guy but in St. Louis we had the best really, and I don't. Do you know of anybody around town, nationally, internationally about soccer?
Well, I don't think anybody that's ever done soccer for ESPN or any of the other networks could ever do a better job than Bill McDermott and I did. In fact, Bill and I did the very first ESPN event. It was a taped soccer game at Francis Field, and it was St. Louis U against UCLA. And they did it on tape delay, but that was their first event. At least that's what they told us.
Wow.
And then both of us did soccer in one form or another, whether it was PA announcing for the Steamers or play-by-play. I did a number of national championship college soccer games for ESPN. I did Jerry Yeagley's very first national championship against San Francisco.
Wow.
And so I did a lot of them. I did some games out at Stanford Stadium, Alabama A&M, which had all Nigerian players.
Yeah.
And Clemson back in the day. So we did a lot of that, a lot of national soccer games. College soccer was just getting a lot of publicity in those days because of ESPN, and we were involved in it a lot.
And then the Godfather with the St. Louis Spirit, Bob Costas.
Bob did the Spirits of St. Louis.
Yeah, baby. I mean, he was a cool cat daddy-o, and then, he went national.
Yes, he did, and he did fairly well, as I recall.
Yeah.
But the Spirits were his beginning at KMOX Radio and moving Marvin Barnes.
Oh, yeah.
He can tell you a lifetime's worth of stories about Marvin Barnes.
But you can tell Bob, for me, that you are whale certified, Kevin Slaten. Bob isn't. There you go.
Oh, we'll have to get him on.
Yeah.
I've regard Bob as a good friend, and
great.
We talk. We have good conversations. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Oh man, magnificent. We met a couple times in the green room at the Fox Theater when he was doing the for the St. Louis Children's Hospital or the Cardinal Glennon. He had a big.
He brought in some great people for those events.
Yes, he did. And he always was always liked St. Louis. He always felt at home there.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah,
I think he still does.
Yeah. Okay. So I had the Bill McDermott was on a couple weeks ago, and now we got the Kevin Slaten, and man, besides Costas, we need some new juice around. Do they go to college anymore, or what would be your humble direction for the up and coming.
I think you can never go wrong if you go to a good journalism school like I did. I went to the best. Mizzou has the best journalism school in the country. They still do. The problem is you have a lot of people that are on faculty there, like elsewhere, who want you to lean liberal. I had a student at Mizzou tell me a few years back that if one of the professors said to them, if you didn't adopt a liberal viewpoint, you wouldn't have much of a future in the journalism world. And I thought, what a horrific thing to say to any student. I don't care if you're conservative or liberal, you have no business putting your political views onto them. But that's unfortunately the sad reality that we live in now. And so that's what happens at these journalism schools. So it's a good way to get training, but the best way is still to intern. Unfortunately, I think throughout the country, the journalism world has done that. It's not leaned, but it's tilted liberal. And it's a very embarrassing profession now. I think the people that are in it ought to be shamed because they're a disgrace.
Well, there you have it. And so,
the sports
you,
world's a little different. You don't have to be a lunatic liberal to be in sports broadcasting. Of course, it probably doesn't hurt you, but you certainly don't have to, because very rarely do you bring in any viewpoints of that nature.
Yeah, well,
thank God.
I'm trying to rehearse, but I can't get it down. It's till the next time has been a fine time. That Jack Buck, you remember that? Where he would
he would say, "Thanks for your time this time. Till next time, goodbye."
Yeah, baby.
So long.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time this time. Till next time, so long.
All right. So here we go. It's a custom here at Whale Certified, because we're up against the time, and you gotta go. Whatever you want to say, Kevin, to who you ever want to say it to, for as long as you want to say it for.
Well, I think the sports world has college football, college basketball, for instance, have disintegrated into nothing but a money pot, and it's unfortunate because the purity of the games are gone. It's not that the players shouldn't get paid. I believe they should. I believe they should have gotten paid a long time ago. I believe that they should have been able to transfer a long time ago without having to sit out with a penalty. But I don't believe in unlimited transfers, and I don't believe in unlimited funding, because it only becomes a game of the wealthy. Ohio State proved that you can indeed buy a national championship. They spent upwards of $20 million on that football roster last year, and they end up winning the national championship. If that's the way it's going to go, you're losing the giants of the game. Jim Harbaugh went back to the NFL. Nick Saban retired. The basketball coach at Virginia, Terry, I can't think of his last name off the top of my head now. I've forgotten it. Wins a national championship 4 or 5 years later. He retires. He's gone. None of them want to put up with this. And, Nick Saban said it used to be that we developed character in these kids, and the parents entrusted us to do that. Now every kid just sticks their hands out and says, how much are you going to pay me? And it's gotten to that point now where you're not going to win a national championship unless you can do that. My feeling would be, I'd love to see a coach who says, we're not paying players anything. You're getting you're going to get your scholarship. Then we're going to let you work off season, but you're going to work. We're not going to give you money. We're going to let you work, because we're paying you for your football or basketball with your scholarship. And then if you feel the need that you want more extra money, we'll let you work for that money. Used to be athletes couldn't even work. They would not allow them to work in the off seasons. And I thought that was absurd. Of course, the NCAA's time is gone. It's come and gone. They're going to be obsolete very shortly. And I think that's a good thing. There needs to be a governing body, but the NCAA long ago lost its mind, lost its credibility. And as far as I'm concerned, they're finished. But, this practice of allowing the coaches to be the arbiter of who gets paid what is a nightmare for the coaches, in my opinion. Any coach who is responsible for paying the players, if you don't pay this guy, but you pay that guy more, then this guy's pissed off at you for the whole season. So all you're going to do is have half your team is pissed, the other half's happy, and it's going to be a nightmare for the coaches. They should have someone in the athletic department determine who gets paid what, and then let the players guess how they arrived at that number. But you can't put the coach in that position. Billy Martin always said the secret to being a great manager in baseball, you had 25 guys on your roster, 10 hate you, 10 love you, 5 are undecided. He said the secret to being successful is keeping the 5 undecideds away from the 10 who hate you.
Well, I guarantee I rubbing two nickels together for my name, image, and likeness. Well, but I want to thank you, Kevin, for coming by to put the nice little professionalism of the. You have a voice for podcasts. I was told I can't get in a sentence together. So
Well, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the fun, and it's always good catching up.
yeah, so we'll put it out there. Everybody from the North County area, that's that Kevin Slaten. Yeah, you know your voice.
Our Lady of Good Counsel, and CBC.
There you go. You know your voice anywhere. Okay, Kevin. So the best. Have a great spring. And we'll see you in the summer and then help me with it till the next time. It's been a fine time.
Thanks for your time this time. Till next time, so long. Thanks, Wales.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.